Well, now we're going to talk all things pet safety, especially in the summer months. There's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind when it comes to your furry friends to make sure they're in their best shape possible and not getting loose from home. A couple of different topics we're going to talk about now with Michigan State Police Lieutenant Michelle Robinson. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. We've got sort of a laundry list of things to talk about that are really important. I know so many people have a furry friend at home, maybe several that they want to keep safe. So first, obviously 4th of July next week. Sadly, across the country, we see pets go missing during this time just because of kind of the commotion of what fireworks can bring. What do people need to be just keeping in mind when, all that loud noise starts?
Well, one thing that we really want to keep in mind is our pet safety when it comes to 4th of July, and specifically dogs. We see cats that get afraid of the fireworks, dogs especially, and it just takes one open gate or open door for them to escape. So we ask that you move an animal to a safe location in another room where they can't hear the fireworks. Play some soft music for them, and make sure that you always have your pets tagged so that if they do get out, they can be found very easily and reunited with their families.
Yeah, some soft music. Maybe your animal likes watching TV. I know they make those little thunder jackets sometimes. Anything you can do to have them in a calm place. And of course, the identification is so important, just because you never know when someone, a kitty cat, not really a kitty cat, but a dog might slip out.
Right, and cats too.
Yeah,
sure. There's all animals. If you have, even livestock will be afraid from something that they only see once a year. And so you need to take those precautions to make sure that they're safe as well.
Is this something that you guys, see come up every year around this time? Is kind of a rise in animals that get out because they're nervous or scared in this situation?
Absolutely. You'll have individuals that will leave to go watch the fireworks shows, and they'll think that their pet is okay because they're in a contained environment, maybe in a backyard where there's a fenced backyard, and they get very, very fearful because that's something that they're not used to, very loud noises, and they hear better than we do, they smell better than we do. So that's one thing that just keep that in mind, that think of your pet before you go enjoy the fireworks yourself.
Yeah, and something to maybe be thinking about this weekend as opposed to right before you're heading out the door, maybe just so you have a plan in place, and don't have to add one thing to the list as you're on your way out to the barbecue or party or whatever.
Right, and that's something, if you have a friend that maybe is not going to go out, have the pet go to the friend's house and where they can keep an eye on them, and it just keeps them safe. And it only takes one time, and then your beloved family member is lost somewhere.
Yeah, and nobody wants to deal with that. It's so tragic when you lose an animal. Something else to talk about in the summer months is unfortunately, we see animals left in cars that are just way too hot. I mean, we've been dealing with these extreme temperatures the last week, but even just regular summer heat is too much for animals. What do you want folks to know when it comes to, just not leaving those pets in the car?
And that's it. Don't leave your pet in a car. Even if you are going to go into a grocery store or any kind of store just for what you think is going to be a quick minute, you never know how long you're going to be in there. And even if your vehicle is parked in the shade, before I came into the studio today, my car was parked in the shade. I got in it. It was 104 degrees. And so would you want to be in 104 degrees wearing a down winter coat?
Right.
And so if you think about it that way, a dog can heat up so much quicker than a human being, or even, we'll even go further, and you see children that are left in car seats. So when we're talking about pet safety, even if you think you're going to just run into the store very quickly, that's when tragedy can strike. So just leave your pets at home. If you have to go to the store, go to the store and let them stay in the air conditioning.
And I know sometimes you see people or photos online where it's like, hey, the windows are cracked. There's a little sign maybe on their car that says the AC's on, they've got water. That's just still not enough because it's heating up so quickly. Like even in the shade, like you mentioned, it can be so warm so fast.
Right, absolutely. And it does. Even though I wouldn't encourage anybody to leave their car running with their pet in it.
Right.
The best thing to do is just leave your pet at home. If it's, the temperatures rise, even if you have the windows cracked, that's not enough air for them to stay cool. And so we just encourage people, just leave them home where they're comfortable, where they're familiar with their surroundings, instead of putting them in that position where they could get injured or killed.
Yeah. Absolutely. And a third topic, again, all related to pet safety. And I think this is interesting, especially because, we don't necessarily think we deal with severe weather all the time here in Michigan, but as of late, we really do. And it's important when you're thinking of those emergency plans, having a plan for your kids, your family, flashlights, batteries, phone chargers, but also you want to be thinking of your pets. What do you need to do in a circumstance where maybe you need to get to a bathroom really quickly or a basement, or you need to leave your house entirely? Pets needs to be a part of that checklist.
Absolutely. And through our EMHSD, our Emergency Management Division of the Michigan State Police, we always encourage someone to have, or families to have, an emergency action plan.
Yes.
And even when you're a young child and you're going through school, you have these fire drills that you have in school. You should be doing fire drills at home with not only your family, but also your members,
Yes.
the furry members of your family.
Because they are your family too, of course.
Absolutely. And that also includes the scaly members of your family,
Yes.
those that are swimming in a fishbowl. What is your plan in the event of an emergency for them?
Yes.
And this is where your prior planning is going to make it easier for the entire family. Do you have the veterinary number that's in your phone or in your emergency kit? Do you have extra food or water or dishes that are in your emergency kit?
Yes.
And one thing that we encourage people is have a tote, a special tote for all of your emergency equipment for both your family and your pets as well. Do you have their veterinary records so that if you do have to take them to the vet, you have that available?
Yeah.
Does your neighbors, do they know you have pets? How many pets? Is there a plan that they know that if there's an emergency, if you have a fire in your home and you have to get out quickly, does your neighbor know that you have pets that if you need to go and they need to come into the home, they know where to find
for
them?
you. Yeah, and I know
Right.
I mentioned severe weather, but yeah, say you have a fire, say there's a gas leak in your neighborhood or in your house, and you need to just be able to get out quickly, or maybe you're incapacitated in some way or not there when something happens, and you want to make sure there's not a lot of thought that has to go into just making sure that your animals are safe.
Right, and if let's say that you're involved in a car crash,
Sure.
If communicate with those person that you have designated to say, if I'm not home by a certain time, can you do this plan?
Yes.
And a lot of people, we don't think about that. We think about our children, our spouses, or whomever else human is living in our homes, but we don't always take those extra precautions for those pets that are in our home. And if you are displaced in your home, where are you going to go? Where do you have a list of hotels that are dog friendly or cat friendly?
Yeah.
And so pre-planning, having a plan in place so that if there is a tornado where you are displaced from your home, what are you going to do? And that includes their medications as well and their food as well.
Yeah, and that way when there is that moment of panic or emergency, you're not having to say, okay, where's this, where's that, what's going on? It's ready to go, ready to grab, or ready for someone else to grab, which is really what you want to make sure is
Absolutely.
possible.
And whatever door you're going to exit out of, in our home we have a closet right by the front door. That's where our emergency kit is. So that if we
Easy.
have to leave, we just grab it and we head out the door. And then, that's make sure you have the extra leashes and a first aid kit for them, so that you have the antibiotics and
Medications maybe they need or what have you.
Absolutely.
Because how tricky is that for you guys from a law enforcement standpoint? You show up to the scene of a house fire, something's happening, and you guys are on scene in some capacity, and they're like, hey, my animals are inside. That's so much trickier for, you guys don't know what kind of animals you're looking for, what they look like, what they act like. That's a whole nother to do for yourselves or firefighters or EMS personnel to have to then kind of go in after, especially if there's a dangerous circumstance inside a home.
Absolutely, and that's a lot of times when you're dealing with like a fire situation.
Yeah.
The firefighters are the ones that would then need to take those precautions to
Right.
get the pets out. A lot of what we see are in traffic crashes where you have an animal in a motor vehicle, you're involved in a crash, and now you have this animal that we need to take care of as well.
Right.
So if you were to have any kind of, that's where we're going to look for, do you have that information? If you are not allowed, you aren't able to talk to us,
Right.
we need to know how to get your pet help as well.
Yes.
Ambulance personnel will be there to address you we're going to be the ones that try to get your pet to a veterinarian.
Absolutely. I know we talked about so many topics, obviously all sort of under the umbrella of pet safety, which is hits so close to home for so many people who have an animal that they love and care about. Anything else to mention on any of these topics that you just want folks at home to know?
Just have a plan. Always, keep them in mind as well. Don't ever leave them in a hot car. We see that so often.
Yes.
If you are someone that you see a dog in distress or even a child in distress that's been left in a car, call 911 right away. Then emergency personnel can get there and they can then make that decision whether to break a window or what they have to do in order to get that pet out of that vehicle.
Yeah, I know it seems like common sense to a lot of people, but unfortunately we do see it happen every year, and it's almost always very tragic. So
Yes.
Definitely really important. Call 911 if you see it happening. Don't do it yourself. Absolutely. Okay, Michelle Robinson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure. We're